Hello, friends. I'm Gene, and usually I travel with my wife Renee and our little dog Jenny, but currently doing a special series with our oldest grandson Andrew called Gene and Andrew's Great Adventure. We have camped and Airbnb'd our way across Canada and the western states of Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, and now we're in South Dakota. We visited several gorgeous national parks like Glacier National Park, Yellowstone, went to Jackson, Wyoming, and the Grand Tetons. We've had great experiences, and we've had some dismal failures. If you're not up to date on our adventures, go back and catch up after you watch today's episode. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button so that you don't miss any of our exciting episodes. It helps the algorithm or something, so we appreciate you doing that. In the last episode, we took you to the old western town of Deadwood, South Dakota, where Wild Bill Hickok met his end. Really neat town. If you missed that episode, make sure you go back and visit Deadwood with us. Today, we're going to explore a presidential visit to Deadwood and go check out a monument nearby to a friendship one local man had with President Theodore Roosevelt. Should be very interesting. On October the 21st, 1911, U.S. President William Howard Taft delivered a 30-minute address from this location to a large crowd of spectators. President Taft's visit to Deadwood was one stop on a nationwide campaign tour across South Dakota and the western United States. It took the president 3 days to travel across South Dakota by railroad, stopping at communities along the way. Prior to Taft's arrival, the Deadwood Businessmen Club organized the president's itinerary for his visit to the communities of Deadwood and Lead. This included an elegant lunch at the Franklin Hotel, transportation to the Homestake Assay Office in Lead, and a brief underground tour of the Homestake Mine. After a 3.5-hour visit, President Taft boarded the train and traveled to Sturgis, Rapid City, and eventually the communities in eastern South Dakota. Before his departure, South Dakota Congressman and Deadwood resident Eben Martin presented Taft with a 1-pound paperweight consisting of refined gold from the Golden Reward, Mogul, Wasp No. 2, Trojan, and Lundberg Door and Wilson Mining Companies. The bar was inscribed, "Presented to William H. Taft, President of the United States, Deadwood, South Dakota, October 21st, 1911. Presidents William Howard Taft and John Calvin Coolidge Jr. would be the two U.S. presidents to visit Deadwood in the 20th century.
In the last episode, we were in Deadwood, and you'll remember we went to the cemetery, the Mount Moriah Cemetery, or Boot Hill Cemetery that they have there. The lady that sold me the ticket to get in the cemetery, she was from where we retired from, Virginia Beach, Virginia. And she was telling me about a fellow that had made great gold wealth there in Deadwood, and he was friends of Teddy Roosevelt. Now, I'm a big fan of TR. He really didn't care to be called Teddy. He was called Theodore Roosevelt. Well, Theodore Roosevelt, there's a monument or a tower built to him, Friendship Tower, that's built up on what is called Mount Roosevelt. And so, and that guy that discovered that gold had it built for his friend, Theodore Roosevelt. So we're going up this, it started off paved, now it's gravel. I'm hoping it doesn't get to dirt, but we're going up this hill to check it out.
Born in Canada in 1847, Seth Bullock moved to Montana at age 18 and was soon elected to the Territorial Senate. Seth began a lifelong commitment to public service and conservation with sponsorship of a resolution to establish the Yellowstone area as a national reserve. After his move to South Dakota in 1876, Seth was instrumental in establishing Wind Cave National Park, Devil's Tower National Monument in 1906, Jewel Cave National Monument in 1908, and D.C. Booth National Fish Hatchery. While riding on his Belle Fourche Ranch in 1884, Seth Bullock, now a deputy U.S. Marshal, saw 3 horsemen riding across the plains. He stopped the party as they looked like a tin-horn gambling outfit, he said. 2 of the men were bringing in a horse thief wanted in Dakota Territory. One of the men, a deputy sheriff from Medora, North Dakota, was a 26-year-old rancher named Theodore Roosevelt. This chance meeting was the beginning of a very close 35-year relationship between the two men. Seth and Teddy enjoyed a lifelong friendship that included hunting and camping expeditions. Teddy sent his sons, Ted, Kermit, and Archie, to spend summers on the S&B Cattle Company Ranch, where, as Roosevelt states, Bullock would teach them hunting and riding and give them adventures and skills needed to be true Westerners. In 1901, Vice President Theodore Roosevelt ensured that Bullock was appointed as the second forest supervisor of the Black Hills National Forest, a position he held until 1906. When Roosevelt was elected president in 1905, Seth rounded up a group of Black Hills cowboys and traveled to Washington to ride in the inaugural parade, where they whooped and shot their guns in the air, causing the crowd to cheer. In Roosevelt's autobiography, he states, "Bullock became one of my staunchest and most valued friends."
Andrew and I thought that we were finished walking for the day after our day in Deadwood. That was in the last episode. But it's an uphill climb to get up Mount Roosevelt.
The Friendship Tower was constructed in 1919 through the efforts of Seth Bullock, lawman, rancher, entrepreneur, and second forest supervisor of the Black Hills National Forest to commemorate the life and death of his personal friend, Theodore Teddy Roosevelt. The tower was constructed between March and July of 1919 with financial support from the Society of Black Hills Pioneers. On July the 4th, 1919, Bullock realized the completion of his dream with the dedication ceremony of the Mount Roosevelt Memorial. Guest speakers included South Dakota Governor Peter Norbeck. Seth died just 3 months later in September. He was buried in the cemetery on Mount Moriah, where he would have an unimpeded view of Mount Roosevelt. The Friendship Tower resembles a medieval castle. It was built from native stone, standing 31 feet tall with a 12-foot diameter on a 16-square-foot base. 20 mortared steps and an iron handrail spiral up the inside wall, providing access to the wood-planked viewing platform, which is encased by a 3-foot flared parapet wall. According to my altimeter, we were at 5,690 feet when at the top of the tower. Roosevelt Tower is 2 miles from Deadwood, 7.8 miles from Spearfish, 12 miles from Sturgis, 19 miles from Seth Bullock's ranch, and 50 miles from Devil's Tower.
Well, that's a look at Roosevelt Tower. Mosquitoes out, Andrew?
Yeah.
Got another one. Okay, that's a look at Roosevelt Tower. We're going to take the path back down to the car. The great thing about it is it's all downhill now, no more uphill. And wow, that's cool that one person would think so much of their friend. I mean, granted, their friend was a great, great man. TR himself, Theodore Roosevelt, Rough Rider, President, Bull Moose Party. Anyway, thought enough of his friend to build a tower in his honor as a monument to Theodore Roosevelt. And some great views we saw from up there at the top of the tower, right? Hey, thanks for watching.